This is the Lessons in Positivity videocast. Here's your host, Scott Peterson.
Hello and welcome to Lessons in Positivity. My name is Scott Peterson and I'll be your host for multiple interviews with some of the world's greatest professional and Olympic athletes, as well as high school athletes from around the country with positive and inspirational stories. As you're starting out your sports career or just life in general, sometimes you're going to feel defeated or feel like nobody believes in you. We hope you'll listen to all these athletes that we talk to because virtually all of them have some kind of a story where negativity crept into their minds. But all of them have one thing in common, a positive attitude, and that refusal to allow negativity to dictate what happened to them. One important thing to remember is not everyone is going to be a collegiate, professional, or even Olympic athlete, but the lessons you learn by playing sports, whether it's winning and losing, learning to be a good teammate, being a leader, all those things are going to be important in your life. So let's get started with our first positive athlete who just happened to be a kid who went from being bullied because he was a biracial kid living in Korea to being named the Super Bowl's most valuable player. His name is Hines Ward, and wait until you hear his story on Lessons in Positivity. We're back here with Hines Ward, two-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl number 40, the winner of Dancing with the Stars season 12. There's no end to the different things that Hines Ward has accomplished in his career, but one of the most important things was helping me start Positive Athlete. Hines, welcome.
Oh, glad to be on. Glad to be on.
Hey, so, when we first started Positive Athlete, you've heard literally hundreds of stories of coming to our events, and you've heard these kids. What's inspired you about what you've heard out of those kids in this program?
You know what? Just the will to never kind of give up, due to the circumstances. I mean, so many adversity in life that we will have to overcome and face, and the way these kids kind of persevere, come together, and still have that positivity to overcome is just amazing. It inspires me to really want to do bigger and better things. And so, just hearing some of the student athletes' stories, how they dealt with injuries or had to overcome personal issues, but somehow, some way, find it deep within themselves to remain positive and always have a positive outlook that they're going to get over that hump and overcome. It's just a testament to the great student athletes that we pick out for Positive Athlete. And for me, I see a little of myself in all these student athletes, having the background coming from a single parent home, had to overcome so many adversities throughout my lifetime. So me kind of to be out in the forefront of these amazing student athletes, man, I really can't describe how proud I am to be, kind of the face of Positive Athlete and for these kids and give them hope and inspiration that they can and will be somebody positive in our community.
Let's talk about your story too, because you mentioned that you see a little of yourself in these kids growing up in Korea, a biracial kid, as you said, raised by a single mom, and really, quite frankly, you were kind of bullied over in Korea, weren't you, when you were younger?
Yeah, growing up was difficult for me. My mom marrying outside of her race. Back then, it really wasn't, highly praised within the Korean community, just to marry outside the race. So she was actually like an outcast in her own community, by her own family, by marrying outside. So she decided to move to America to give me a better life, more opportunities, and the struggles that she had to overcome personally, not really knowing the language. My mother and father had got divorced when she came to America, really not having a support system to really lean on, but all she did was just stick her head down and just grind. So she worked 2 to 3 jobs, hours and hours and hours a day, just so she can gain some income, so she can kind of, help raise a young son. So when I look at my mom, I look at inspiration as, yeah, she was lacking some other things in life, but she taught me the values of hard work, no matter what, continue to just grind, keep your head down, and good things will happen.
Hines, you mentioned that sports was a real outlet for you, and you were able to develop some friends. But you've also told me before that there were certain friends you had to kind of get out of your life because they were negative. How do you take a friend, somebody that you're friends with, but you know they're negative and they're not a good influence? How did you make that separation?
I think that's the hardest thing that anyone has to do, is to be able to cut themselves away from the negativity in their life. And there's so many people in this world that's always gonna, hey, I made an A in math. Well, no, you did this or this. It's always, and we all know that those people that are always negative all the time. I remember growing up, and man, I really enjoyed school. I had perfect attendance, but a lot of my friends, so-called friends, was like, oh man, you just want to learn. You're just trying to be white. They was calling me Uncle Tom because I wanted to further my education, and actually I wanted to make good grades in class because that's how competitive I was. But it's hard to break away from your so-called friends that are constantly putting you down. We like to call them haters. So many haters out there that just never, misery loves company. It's something that may be going on in their life, and they're trying to pull away from your positivity and try to bring you down to their level. But at some point, you have to break away with that negativity. You just don't always want to hear somebody being negative all the time, because it makes you a downer. It pulls you down. It takes away from your dreams and aspirations of what you want to be and where you want to become. And so it's hard to really, explain how you just cut a friend off, or so-called friend you thought that would always encourage you to be what you want to do, fulfill all your dreams. But at the same time, a part of growing up and a part of maturing is to be able to acknowledge the negativity and being able to break away from that, just so you can have your own personal growth in life.
You take on challenges though, like nobody else. I mean, Dancing with the Stars is a perfect example. Then you go and you go on CNN Sports. You've been on NBC Sports, and those are things that weren't necessarily things that come natural to you. I mean, you talked about your dancing and things like that. Why is it important for you to take on challenges like those kinds of things?
I kind of want to be an example to kids out there who may be on the fence of, should I try out for the track team? Should I try out for the baseball team? And should I try out for whatever sports or whatever they decide to do? And it's like, well, I want to be an example for those kids or those people out there that, listen, I didn't know anything about Dancing with the Stars. I went out and I tried it. I gave it my best shot. And at the end of the day, I never wanted to be that person that's looked back on life and said, I wish I would have did this, or I wish I would have tried this. So, for me, I want to be an example to those people who may have wanted to dance their whole life, but the fear kind of took the best of them and kind of like stopped them from going out and doing something that they want to try. And so, by me doing the different things, doing the Dancing with the Stars, doing the Ironman, I never ran over a mile a day in my life. And here I am doing 140 miles plus in biking and swimming and running. But I found a way to persevere, and I crossed that finish line. And for me, hearing Mike Riley say, Hines Ward, you are an Ironman, that just gave me so much confidence that no matter whatever I wanted to do in life, I knew that I, one, had a great support system with people always supporting me, and two, just having fun and believing in myself. This is something that I wanted to do personally, and I'm not going to let fear kind of get the best of me. I'm not going out and doing the things that I want to do and experience in life, because listen, you only live once. So you got to make the most of the opportunity you do have on earth. And now with the coronavirus and all those things that are coming, it's just another adversity that we all have to face and deal with. And, eventually we'll come out on the positive side of things if we continue still having that positive attitude that things are going to be okay.
You've taken on another challenge, which would seem to be more in your comfort zone, and that is coaching now with the New York Jets. And that's kind of you're back in the locker room, and you love the locker room and you love all that. But there's also, that's a new kind of challenge. Are there some things about, is there like your coaching style, is it based on anybody? Is it based on anything? Or, how is that transition? Because I think it's probably a little harder than people think it would be.
It is. Thinking, you played the game. I played football my whole life. And, for me, coaching, now you have to learn how to communicate. Communication is the key, to be able to get to these players and really understand where you're coming from. But, prime example, my first year with the New York Jets was kind of different because I only knew black and gold for so many years. And it was kind of ironic. Here I am putting on the green outfit and green and white and being part of the Jets. For me, it was like, oh, this is so weird, So it's kind of like, it's just like anything. When I went on Dancing with the Stars, I had to put on a little tight leotard and outfits. And it's kind of like when I was doing the Ironman and things like that. It was a little adjustment period, but, it's just like anything that I did in life. I was going to go out, work my butt off, and just put my head down and just find a way to do it.
Hines, do you think that positivity is a choice?
I think so. I really do. I mean, you have a choice whether you want to be negative or positive in life. Each and every day, we wake up in the morning. We're blessed to even wake up in the morning. Mm-hmm. I just can't imagine someone waking up and just having a negative attitude already. It's like, you woke up this morning. You should be happy the fact that you woke up. So praise the Lord that we wake up and we get another opportunity in life. And I just think, for a lot of people out there, I just rather choose to be positive because life is so short. You never know. Tomorrow's never promised. So let's live each day like it's the fullest. Let's capitalize on every opportunity we have. Hey, did I do something better? I always try to tell myself I want to do a good deed every day. If it's, opening a door for someone, if it's, helping them load groceries in their car. I always want to do something positive. I just, I challenge myself. It was a goal. It was a daily goal to always do something that, I may have not, I could have chosen to just went all about my life and never even looked at anyone, but I made it a goal for me to do something to help do my positive deed of the day. I wanted to do a good deed to give back, to sit there and make me feel good as a person that, I was able to help someone.
The number one thing people ask me when I say that we know each other is your smile. It's like they always want, is he always that happy? Is he always have that attitude? And I said, I've never seen it when he doesn't. So yeah. I'm sure you're asked that question too a lot. And it obviously goes back to this mindset you're talking about. Being positive, it means you're happy, and it means you're looking on the bright side of things. And so I'm sure that is probably the number one reason that people comment on your smile.
Well, in today's world, listen, I get it. There's some days where, listen, I don't feel like smiling. I have some hardships that I have to overcome, but here's how I look at things. I always try to pick out something positive in a negative situation. Yes, you can't change the circumstances, but, let's pick out something positive that I learned about it. Maybe it was a mistake that I made. I'm not perfect by any means. I make tons of mistakes, but I try to look at it and be like, okay, make sure I don't never do the same mistake twice. Right. So I try to, put that in the memory bank and make sure in life as we continue to grow as people that we don't make the same mistakes. We never want to feel like that. So for me, having that, being encouraging, being positive, I just don't look at the world negative. Life is too short to be mean and miserable all the time. You only get one opportunity to live, So for me, I'd rather take the high road and try to pick out the positivity in a negative situation rather than just dwell on a negative situation.
Well, no doubt that the kids listening to this can take all of the advice you've given them today, and I hope that they'll integrate that into their lives and that they'll use that as a force, because as we started out talking, you are not supposed to, most people would say you are not supposed to be and have done all the things you did, how you started out. And a lot of kids think that they're stuck in their circumstances at a young age. And you're living proof that that is not the case. Hines, thanks so much for spending time with us today. And we're excited about the Lessons in Positivity podcast that you guys are going to see and meet some really cool people that'll echo a lot of the same things that Hines said today. So Hines, thanks so much, and stay safe during this pandemic.
You too, Scott. Anytime.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Hines Ward as much as I did. Remember, don't allow negative people in your life to decide where you end up. Hey, maybe someday you'll be lifting up the Super Bowl MVP trophy or the Dancing with the Stars Mirror Ball trophy. Stay tuned to our next episode in Lessons in Positivity, where we talk with professional, Olympic, and high school student athletes about their journeys. And remember, be sure to ask your parents or coach about getting you a copy of our book, The Positive Athlete, 100 Inspirational Stories of High School Student Athletes. You can find out more information about the book on our website, positiveathlete.org. Until next time, stay positive, everybody.